Okay, so if you're finished with your shadows and you've checked it out, everything looks nice and even, you think you have your shadows everywhere that you need them, the final part of this project is the most fun. It's just kind of deciding what colors we want to make everything. The one thing that I would be cautious of when we look at the color wheel are colors that are directly across from each other. So like, because most of our shadows are kind of bluish or blue-violet, we want to be careful to not choose colors that are directly across that are going to be mixing with a lot of our shadow areas, because colors that are directly across sometimes can end up kind of brown. And if you want to try to avoid that, then maybe choose the color that's closer to a blue for your base color, at least of your cake. And that's a little bit of a safer choice. If you're not sure and you really want to try to experiment a little bit, a great way to experiment is to get your value scale tornadoes out and try out a few colors. Say, well, I might want to make my cake that color. I might want to make it that color. I might want to make it that color. And just try out a few and try them right on top of your tornadoes and see what happens when you mix. When we're coloring the colors in of all of our cake design elements, we're just going to be coloring really evenly on top of all of our blue. So you don't really have to pay attention to making it light or dark. We're just coloring nice and even with kind of a medium pressure. So let's just see what happens when we put yellow on top, or when we put green on top, or when we put orange on top. This is a great way to help you decide what color you want to make your cake and your details. All right, so I've used our color wheel. I've looked at where the blues are and kind of where the other colors are, and I've chosen some colors here to add to my details. And you might notice that I have one colored pencil. And the reason for that is because some of our teeny tiny details, like on my candle here, you could use colored pencils. So now that I've got my colors picked, I'm gonna start with the base color. And this is actually the easiest part of our whole project, is coloring in these final choices, these final color choices. So I've got a red violet here, which is like a magenta, and I'm gonna use that for the base layer of my cake. So I'm gonna use it for this part here, up to the drips, and this top part of my cake up here, thinking like it's one layer of frosting or fondant underneath this dripping part, and this will be a different color, the parts will be a different color, and then also we'll have to decide what flavor we want to make our cake as well. The most important thing with the coloring of those final details is making it nice and even. So I want you to forget that there's blue on your paper at all. Forget about the shadows being there. And you might even want to practice on a separate paper, just with an even pressure, coloring a little bit and make it nice and even. We want like a medium pressure, and then once you get a nice medium pressure going, we're gonna go ahead and just start coloring all the parts that we want to be this color. I'm gonna go a little slower around these details up here. Try to keep your crayon going kind of in the same direction. So I've started up and down. I'm gonna try to keep it going up and down. There's a few parts where I'm gonna have to kind of turn it to make it work when I get around these details of the drips. Something that I just noticed is I had this frosting connecting to that frosting, but if this is a layer of fondant, which would all be connected, that would be attached to that. So I'm just gonna take an orange, a few of my colored pencils over here. I'm gonna take an orange and a green and just kind of add in a dividing line right here. Okay, so I've decided that I want to make the cake vanilla. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to the actual cake part of my drawing. Here we go, we got a brown crayon. We're gonna make the frosting in between the two layers chocolate. Now we have to decide what color we want the dripping to be. Okay, so I'm gonna use this crayon for the dripping. Okay, so after looking at this cake, I think I'm almost done, but after doing a little bit of experimenting on my experiment cake, I realized that adding a little marker can help brighten up areas that look a bit dull. And on this cake, I couldn't figure out why it was bothering me until I came back and looked at it with some fresh eyes, and I realized that what was bothering me is the fact that these hearts kind of show my eraser marks. If you can see. Here, I'll hold it up closer so you can see. See where I had to erase there and then I pushed too hard? Those eraser marks were really bothering me. So I decided to use my experiment of using a marker on top of the crayon, and I'm just gonna give it a try and see if that helps those look a little bit smoother. I think it will help. So we're gonna go ahead, I'm using this red marker. as I look at this, I think that was an improvement. I'm trying to see, there still is something that's bothering me and I can't figure out what it is. I think maybe I might try the same thing along this side of these hearts here. I think I am happy with it now. That little change made a big difference. And what I always do is I'm gonna let this be for today, and I usually will come back and look at it with fresh eyes tomorrow and just kind of decide if there's anything else I wanna do to the cake or the platter, and then maybe start thinking about what I can do for the table in the background. I don't want it to take away from the cake, but I feel like it needs a little something. So that's something else I need to figure out. All right, well, I hope you have fun making creative choices about your own cakes, and I cannot wait to see these finished. You guys have been working so hard and they're looking amazing. So I really am looking forward to you sending me them on Schoology. Make sure you take a nice clear picture and send it to me if you finish over break. I'd love to see those. All right, good luck, have fun, bye.